One example, the armistice that was signed on July 27, 1993. It stopped the wars between North and South Korea. Now, North Korea is threatening to end that truce. Here's the history the core peninsula split into North and South after World War II. In June of 1950, North invaded the South. That was the start of Korea War. The U.S. supports South Korea. China supports North Korea. After deaths of thousands of people died. Here the interesting part, the fighting stopped in 1953. With that armistice, there was never a peace treaty, so the Korea was technically never in. Nowadays, North Korea is those society. It doesn't have a lot of contact with the rest of the world. It does have a dead relationship with some nations including South Korea and the United States. Some of that has to do with North Korea's conventional nuclear program. The U.S. is running an international effort to punish North Korea for a recent nuclear test instead. And the North said that while it is tending to get rid of the 60-year-old truce.
North Korea keeps choosing to make belligerent and reckless moves that threaten the region, their neighbors, and now directly the United States of America.
The border between North and South Korea is called the DMZ. It stands for the Demilitarized Zone. It's a train placed under the base of circumstance, which is what Pearl hiker looked at while she was there.
One example, the armistice that was signed on July 27, 1953. It stopped the war between North and South Korea. Now North Korea is threatening to end that truce. This is the history. The Korean peninsula split into two countries, North and South, after World War II. In June of 1950, the North invaded the South. That was the start of the Korean War. The U.S. supported South Korea. China supported North Korea. Hundreds of thousands of people died. An interesting point here, the fighting stopped in 1953 with that armistice, but there was never a peace treaty, so the Korean War technically never ended. Nowadays, North Korea is a closed society. It doesn't have a lot of contact with the rest of the world. It does have a bad relationship with some nations, especially South Korea and the United States. Some of that has to do with North Korea's controversial nuclear program. The U.S. is leading an international effort to punish North Korea for a recent nuclear test it did. And the North says that's why it's threatening to get rid of the 60-year-old truce.
North Korea keeps choosing to make belligerent and reckless moves that threaten the region, their neighbors, and now directly the United States of America.
The border between North and South Korea is called the DMZ, stands for Demilitarized Zone. It's a tense place under the best of circumstances, which is what Paula Hancock's looked at when she was there.
Now here on the DMZ you can see a North Korean soldier just across the border. They often come out of that area to see what is happening on this side, the South Korean border. This is the joint security area. It's basically where all the negotiations have taken place between the North and the South since 1953. Now the blue huts behind me are half in North Korea, half in South Korea, and the border itself is obviously very tense. You can see the South Korean soldiers facing off against the North Korean soldiers, and a very inauspicious border. The concrete slab that you can see in the middle there, just a few inches above the ground, is effectively the border between North and South Korea. So here we are in one of the huts at the joint security area. This is basically where all the negotiations take place, half in North Korea, half in South Korea. Everything has to be completely equal, and you can see at the moment it's being monitored by South Korean soldiers because it's the South Korean side that's letting people in. This is called checkpoint 3 along the DMZ, and you can see how close we are to the demarcation line here. These white stakes that you can see is effectively the border between North and South Korea. So just beyond that, beyond those trees, you can see a building there. This is one of the buildings that obviously the North Koreans could well be using to monitor South Korea, just as here on the South Korean side, they're monitoring the North Korean side.